Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good.
I'm Tapelo Mukwena and welcome back to The Insurance Apprentice. In our last episode, our top 20 faced their first real-world challenge, rescuing a South African business by assessing its risks and creating a survival plan. 10 contestants didn't impress our judges and they were sent home. But in the biggest twist of the season so far, one contestant found the key to unlock a very special advantage in the competition.
So I opened up the box and I actually got the wrist shield. Hella excited, very excited. I really believe in myself, honestly. Like I said, I don't go into things thinking I won't make it. Going forward, I'm not really concerned about anybody. I think everybody should worry about me. So anybody that doesn't think I'm competition should essentially plan their exit.
Now today, the top 10 return to face their next challenge. And I promise you, it's gonna be a riot.
I'm very grateful that I'm here.
Man, this is an extraordinary achievement. Knowing that 10 of our colleagues had to go home in the last elimination round, it's scary.
What really motivates me is my family.
So my biggest motivator comes from my brother. What's motivating me to stay in this competition is winning. I'm competitive.
The wrist shield was a huge twist. I think it's going to really make things interesting.
It puts an edge on the competition.
Also, I have no idea who has the risk shield. It ain't me though, and I don't like that.
But what we do know for sure is that only one can win.
So the gloves are off.
Welcome back, top 10.
Thank you.
You guys are looking energized, you're looking ready to compete for the title of the Insurance Apprentice. Before we get to the next challenge, let me remind you what you're playing for. The Insurance Apprentice will win 100,000 Rand cash from Aon South Africa, 100,000 Rand investment from Discovery Insure, a trip to Mauritius for two with 100,000 Rand from Elite Risk Acceptances, a global networking experience sponsored by Lloyd's, and 100,000 Rand bursary from Mill Park Education. That's not it. A leadership development course from Gibbs with 400,000 Rand sponsored by Incita. And of course, other top-ups to make this the biggest prize pool ever. Now, you might be wondering why I'm holding on to this protest sign. To help us break down the next challenge, help me welcome Mr. Muzi Ladla from Sasria.
My name is Muzi Ladla. I'm an executive manager at Sasria. So we insure catastrophes, all the things that the private sector cannot insure. What we are looking for today, particularly, we're looking for people who can be able to connect the dots at the highest level. And the trick will be that the ones who will do one that when it is shocked and tested, it actually results in what we have as a criteria. Those are the individuals we're looking for.
Prior to 1994, protest in South Africa was a crime. And then all of that changed in 1996 when it became the highest right to land. So that led us to a paradox. The paradox is that first, the crime to becoming a right was never socialized for the citizens. And the psychology of the protester was also not educated. You know, the dissociation of destruction of property into being a right, rather. So looking at that, it leads us to the task. Now, your task today is that you need to design a campaign. And that campaign has to be national, has to be youth-focused, and it has to look at education for protest as well as behavioral change. But the most important thing is that it must be anchored on principles of risk reduction. Now, remember, it's not just theory, this is practice. With that said, welcome to the paradox.
Sure. Welcome to the paradox.
People need to start thinking that we need to find different ways of doing this because it's no longer working for us. It's not bringing about the change that we saw before. I think that's the biggest message really from today's task.
Right, now before we get into this challenge, top 10, I want to ask you to stand next to the one person that you want to see yourself work with in the next challenge.
I wanted to be with Terrell.
We worked well in the previous exercises.
I initially leaned towards Karabo. She's very smart.
I chose my lady. We worked well together in the top 20 because we were in the same team.
I think I'll pair up quite well with Morgan.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna split the pairings in two. So that makes team 1, and that makes team 2.
Nobody was in the same team as the person that they chose. So that was a spanner in the works.
So in my team, I've got Jordan, I've got Karabo, Khotato, and Bego Shage. I think we got to win today's challenge.
I've got a few strong characters in our team. Asanda, Milady, Tyrell, and Clement.
All right, amazing top 10. There's no time to waste. Let's rise up to the occasion. All the best.
Let's go. Thank you.
I'm so excited about Sasria, my friend.
Is it?
The brief is really simple. It's to create a campaign that actually motivates or encourages people to protest in the right manner. If you do recall, in 2016, varsities all over South Africa had this drive of fees must fall, and I was part of that protest.
Let's do ideas. I have an idea. So I'm thinking like a silent protest, something similar to like a silent protest.
Great idea, guys, but then I think we missed one thing. I mean, he gave us the brief, but it would be worthwhile to kind of read it first ourselves, and then from that, we can come up with something.
It's a very, very good idea. That is an idea that we all jumped on very quickly. Already you can see the mitigation factors. They write themselves.
How about we make a video where we show people protesting, right? And maybe at the end of that campaign video, we show like a silent protest and how people can actually voice us concerns.
In a better way.
Yes.
I don't think we should fly into that from the outset. What we should do is that we should actually highlight the fact that protesting was not a right previously, and then establish the fact that it has not gotten its flowers and how we're responsible in doing it today. It should be
Because
fine.
I
It should
feel
be
like
fine.
the solution...
I think we need to consider TikTok as well as a potential distribution.
I just feel like TikTok is just overdone. Let's think out of the box. And that's literally where I put his idea. In that box, what we're trying to think out of.
What I want us to do as well, let me just land and then I will give you the opportunity. It's important to read the task.
Yes.
If you look at the second last page of the task, right? I believe that the idea that we have and the ideas that we shared, my lady, is quite good. If we can hit those markers, if you get the second last page, a simple youth-friendly educational framework, we're already within that bracket.
Yeah.
A multi-channel public awareness campaign. That's the marketing that you guys were speaking about.
I am not happy. I have said that we need to read the brief. We're already on marketing now. We're on distribution channels. We're on social media. Oh, but Clement says let's read the brief, and all of a sudden, now we should read the brief. Okay, then let's read this here, guys. I did suggest this though, but everyone kind of ignored my points. Let's read.
Yes.
I did suggest that. I said, let's read.
Reading the brief is very important. Not that we're ignoring her, it's like just check it up. Not now, you know? So yeah, patience is a virtue, I guess. Some people don't have.
It's an exciting challenge, right? Because it impacts all of us. I do have exposure to a riot strike in my varsity years. It's common that beginning of the year, people are going to strike for fees and they're going to strike for funding. So I have experienced it. There were times it was scary, like you're in class, suddenly windows are being bashed, cars are being burnt. Unfortunately, then you get used to it because it becomes like a seasonal thing, beginning of the year.
I don't know if anyone's ever been a leader, but do you have somebody to nominate to be a leader, perhaps?
I think Jordan.
Happy to second that.
Yeah, sure. All right, cool.
Okay, cool.
I suggested Jordan because I think he's structured from the other tasks that I've seen. For me, it was a no-brainer.
There's structure.
Yes.
So let's get to it. Already in my mind, I think you guys are already seeing that when it comes to podcasting and educating, podcasts are being followed. It's one of the ways in order to get the broader public to educate and make them well aware.
I think we should also go old school. Broadcasting, television, radio. If we're trying to reach people in the rural areas, if we're trying to reach people that still listen to radio, you know, that's one way of doing it.
I think Rabo had some very valuable insights. The older radio stations, the older, more established TV channels, the older generation and the younger generation use it. So it'll be perfect for us to capitalize on that.
I think what we could also do in terms of all these different platforms is we could use celebrities that the youth relates to.
Influencers, basically.
Yes,
I do get that, but I'm not in full agreement with it.
I'm also
right?
not in agreement
Because
with
like
that.
the influencer shindig has been overdone, and I don't think that necessarily influencers is where it's at.
Sorry, Morgan. I think you misunderstood me. I did not say influencers. I said celebrities. Different. The reason is because if I'm listening to a radio station and Sizwe comes on, for example, what is the likelihood that I'll stay on the radio station? The point is the reach is important. It's a national strike.
Yes.
So the reach is important.
Yes. Nah, I didn't misunderstand. And I'm thinking to myself, we are in a time and age where I think that's overdone. What I was thinking was maybe more like, we could get the youth actually in different parts of the country to come together, and then we can use those people in our campaigns.
Okay, we stayed a lot on this right now, so let's get the presentation going because time is of the essence and we need to make it count.
Let's keep going. To say that Karabo is quick to jump to shooting down ideas or anything like that, I would be lying on her name. She's not quick, she listens, and then she'll shoot down something if she's not in agreement. And I hope that none of my teammates are gonna be listening to respond instead of listening to understand, because then that might just make it a little bit risky for us to actually be the winning team today.
Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good. Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good.
Welcome back to The Insurance Apprentice. Today, our top 10 are tasked with designing a national campaign that educates young South Africans on the right to protest, also discourages violence, and protects our infrastructure. Let's go have a look and see how they do.
Okay, so timelines. Are we starting in Feb or Jan? Okay, so this
will be
is
Q1.
Feb 2.
Just so that we can plan it accordingly. I think that's
a lot of focus. You guys didn't break for 1 second. We've been standing here.
We looked at you and noticed you.
I walked into the room to check out where the team were in their process. This room I walked into was very calm and tepid. There wasn't a lot going on. So I had to push them a little bit to find out whether they were all on the same page. Have you agreed on everything?
Yeah, we agreed. We agreed to a large extent. To
a large extent.
Yeah.
You're the dissenting competitor here.
No, I'm just I'm the devil's advocate. The
voice of reason,
so to speak. Because I feel like a devil's advocate is kind of needed just so that you can try to look at things differently. Right? As much as I'm agreeing with everyone, we have to kind of probe.
But are you guys connecting the dots? Because that's the most important thing. Are you connecting the correct dots?
We hope.
Show them the page.
Can we ask you that question?
So here we
Well,
go.
I hope you do.
This is our starting point.
That looks quite serious.
It does,
Yes.
yeah.
So we've got a whole name for the campaign.
My streets, my future.
And then we've got the who, what, where, how.
But we had broken down everything so much. So we were fully confident in the fact that we are answering the problem statement. We are addressing it. And I think we were confident in the fact that that was going to come out when we're doing the presentation.
So I'm wondering if while you're sitting here, you've taken into account that if you're in the losing team, it might go to a vote and you might have to vote off a team member. Is that something that's entering your thought process? Are you going like, okay, this person's not really pulling their weight right now?
I think that comment kind of pushed us to think of what we're doing probably quite more.
So Simon, we've decided that we're the winning team today. And so
I like your confidence.
So hopefully you won't make us pick someone from the winning team. Because we will be the winning team today.
Exactly.
I like your confidence.
Morgan says we're going to win. I'm like, we haven't touched the presentation. Yes, we've got everything there, but we don't even have the template.
Looking at what you've put there, I think the most important thing I can say to you is that make sure that you connect the solution to the problem.
I realized that there was no connection of the dot because there are 3 very distinct and specific dots that need to be connected. In most of the episodes, that is the biggest issue, and I'm a bit concerned that they might find themselves in that situation.
All right, guys. Keep doing your thing. We'll see you in the judges' rooms. All right.
Great. Good luck.
That question challenged us. It was scary to hear that you're not perhaps connecting the dots completely. And it helped us change up, not the entire direction, but change up and ensure that our presentation meets the mark.
Yeah, because we don't want to be at the points where you're so good at your role, but then the whole thing's not tying up. But
has to
then
be a team
if
effort.
we have like a name for our framework.
Good work, team.
Hi.
Hello, guys. I'm sorry to break your flow. I could see you in it there.
The judges enter about 2 to 3 hours into the challenge, and we're all over the place. I mean, it's 3 hours into the challenge and we have nothing. Nothing was going to plan. Team members were each other's throats.
How are you guys feeling?
Anxious?
Very anxious.
Are the ideas popping?
Yes. Too many ideas is our problem.
That's the
There are
problem.
a lot of ideas,
So
though.
now
That is a
we-
problem. A lot of ideas. So we're just trying to figure out which idea we're actually going to go with.
I have very high hopes for this top 10. We had a chance to really talk to them and give them pointers on what to avoid. Following that, what I then saw in the group dynamics shocked me.
Yeah, with all the ideation that you guys are struggling with, are you satisfied that you have a very deep core understanding of the problem?
Yes. Now, where we are torn as a team is that do we focus on one example or do we actually, because remember, Sasria doesn't only cover strikes and riots. There's terrorism, there's other things.
If I may, just remember that this is not only a Sasria challenge.
You should not even be talking about this. The brief is very clear that we are looking at protest and protesters, the psychology of a protester,
behavior,
the lack of socialization of the behavior.
I was really, really unhappy with what I saw. Google comes and starts saying things like, you know, they are exploring terrorism. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, no, you don't look at terrorism. This is about protesters.
I'm really concerned that at this stage of where you are right now, you're still talking about ideas of how to direct it. You need to think systems.
So Muzi points out the fact that we're talking about terrorism. Does this even speak to the brief? Did we even read the brief? I can't say I told you so, but I kind of told you so.
Whatever you come up with at this point, I think I've just nudged you into the direction. So you need to go there.
So it's just one event.
And
It's
I really
one
hope.
event, guys. It's one event. Let us say that.
It's process, strikes and protests.
I think we're going in a circle.
We're repeating ourselves and we're long past this.
You know, Gugu is obviously very strong in her opinions. That little tussle between let's focus on one event and her disagreeing. I wish I'd heard substance after that comment. Because if you're going to interject and interrupt your team members, you better be adding value and not doing it for the sake of doing it.
We'll leave you to work because you clearly need a lot of time. However, the lack of cohesion here better not translate to the presentation because we'll tear you apart for that.
I would feel that she was partially correct. A couple of minutes before she walked in, there was a bust up. So we knew and acknowledged that we couldn't work together, but the team required us to acknowledge our own faults and see how we were going to overcome them.
What do you think?
No, they're terrible. I think we should let this whole team go.
That's funny you say that.
Well, you should have been in this one because, wow.
Yeah.
No, total opposite. Total chaos.
I was terrified by what I witnessed in there. Like zero cohesion, still ideating. There's no time. And I'm not convinced that they actually know what they're solving for.
I was actually joking. I thought this team really had it together.
Okay.
But I don't know that actually solved any of the problems yet. Either way,
We'll see.
If they don't pull it together, somebody's leaving us.
All right, I think let's turn up the pressure one last time.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, teams, let's round it up. We have to see the judges soon.
Oh my gosh, okay.
We got this, right? Let's
Yes, we'll be fine.
Look, guys, we're not enough.
We need to finalize this presentation right now.
All right, judges, I think that's enough torture for the day.
Yep.
Let's see what they come up with.
Let's see what they come up with.
Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good. Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good.
Things are about to get heated here on The Insurance Apprentice. Our two teams have been tasked with designing a national campaign that educates young South Africans on the right to protest, discourages violence, and protects our infrastructure. Next, they have to present that plan to our judges. And with so much at stake, you can expect a major twist.
And walking through those doors, seeing the judges, it's scary. Everything's going through your mind, knowing that the hen has come home to roost. Who's going to be held left accountable when the cards are down?
Welcome, team. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, South Africa. We are OFCSA, Organization for Change South Africa. As most of you might know, South Africa has a long-standing history of protests that might start out peacefully but turn out to be violent. The root causes are many. We have what is known as the visibility mentality, and then we have what we know as the asset detachment. What the visibility mentality is basically individuals that think that they are not heard or seen if something is not burning or being destroyed. The asset detachment basically speaks to people that look at this building and say, this is not my building. That road is not my road. It's the government's infrastructure. It is not mine. Therefore, for me to be heard, I'm going to burn it down. Those things, burning of infrastructure has many ripple effects. So what are we proposing to change this? We are proposing
Morgan, are you going to be doing all of the talking during the... You realize that you're eating into the time of your teammates now?
That interjection, it helped us speed up the pace for the rest of it because we ran the risk of almost not presenting the full solution.
My colleagues will go into these multifaceted solutions that we were suggesting, that we're coming up, and I will hand over to my colleague, Karabo. I was pretty much about to hand over, so it wasn't that much of a throw-off based on the fact that I was already done.
We have come up with a risk reduction framework. It's based on 3 pillars. The first one being education, where we've come up with an acronym RAISE. The second one is early warning. It entails platforms where people are able to communicate their grievances prior to enacting them out in terms of riots or strikes or anything to that effect.
I was nervous coming after Morgan. What I was highlighting is the essence of what we're doing essentially. So there was a lot of things going through my mind, but I just tried to, give the important parts and highlight the fact that this is what we are doing and this is how we plan to do it.
Now, as part of our distribution strategy in terms of how we can go to market with our framework and our campaign, we'll use mass media. So national TV, community radios, and then from a digital perspective, this is from WhatsApp groups. And then from a grassroots perspective, this is for more face-to-face engagements, churches or faith groups, and then town halls, we'll just use them as also for face-to-face engagement and then encompass what the RISE means. We want to make RISE part of a school curriculum. Our preventative strategy is actually to have a digital platform where you can raise your concerns to the government. We will use that for the government to be able to set out a heat map. And then from that, the intention is for us to acknowledge and also solve for that before it escalates into an actual protest.
For the successful rollout of our campaign, we will definitely be collaborating both with the public as well as the private sector. And with regards to the public sector, the Department of Social Development will be a key driver in this because they are the ones who are going to guide us in terms of how best to actually roll out our plan in the different communities within the different provinces as well. Over and above that, we are going to be meeting with SAPS and go as far as actually having good relationships with the station commanders and the lieutenants, because when the complaints do rise in, we want to make sure that we have the relationships that are there with them.
You have less than 2 minutes left of your allocated time. If you all want to speak, I suggest you hurry it up.
No problem. And I'm going to be handing over to my colleague who's also going to be speaking a bit more on his aspects.
I couldn't speak. I was angry, upset, purely because I felt that my team members ate into my time.
All right, so we've conceptualized a great plan. In doing so, we want to do an audacious goal of a phase 1 to make sure it's communicated throughout the election. As I was about to present, I started with our phase 1 and a protest comes raging in. It shocked us because you're expecting to present your panel to the judges on a possible solution, and the reality slaps you across the face.
Contestants, as you can see, there is a protest that is threatening to become violent right in front of you. So we're going to give you a minute to discuss amongst yourself who is the one person who's going to give us a very rapid emergency de-escalation protocol that is aligned with your 3 systems that you've put together there?
The group chose for Jordan to go because essentially he didn't get to speak much in the presentation. So the group chose him.
Go for it.
We know that we're in a critical state with an uprising and a riot and strike at the brink, and we do not want there to be violence. So using our raise strategy as well as our frameworks, we want to de-escalate the situation as fast as possible. So what are we going to do is we're going to mobilize the community leaders that we've discussed to bring them to the fore, as well as our CPF and SAPS through our WhatsApp communication to say, hey, there's a possible riot that's going to turn violent. So the strategy was to engage, have someone in front of them so they can feel that the dialogue has started genuinely, and listen to this while sending out the necessary communication via the team to get the mobilization of SAPS, to get the mobilization of the leaders, because they would be part of the solution, not the problem, and make sure that we contain the risk. Because one is peaceful processing, making sure we feel heard, but not letting it lead to violence. So that is more of the strategy we would use in an immediate crisis alert.
Well, thank you for the presentation. Although you did spend quite a bit of time just regurgitating what you already know, because it's in the brief, right? The history.
I don't agree, because they're fully aware of the brief. But for the person watching, they need to understand what it is that we are speaking about, what it is that we are addressing, and how we plan to address it. So I don't agree.
How does the framework in itself actually answer the question of behavioral change, risk reduction, as well as education component?
We need to understand the psychological reasons as to why people would be protesting, right? The reason why people are protesting, people are disgruntled, people are unemployed, there's lack of service delivery. But if we understand the behavior, the reasons why those protests start off legally and then they turn illegal because of violence or whatever the case might be, as in 2021 when the protests were occurring in KZN.
Morgan,
if
we asked you guys to delve into the reasons why protests turned violent. And you keep going, if we understand, what was all your prep time spent doing? What turns a protest violent?
What normally happens is that when people feel frustrated, they want to be seen and they want to be heard. Okay. So in terms of why we do what we want to do, in terms of educating, our train of thought with regards to that is once you educate people, then it does change their behavior. When people understand why they're doing something or how they can do something, they can better implement it.
Yeah, but what incentive does the disgruntled or frustrated young person who cannot find employment, like, how do you solve for that? What does your understanding help with when it comes to changing their behavior?
So I think the judges got protesty after the protesters came in. I think they brought in an energy, and it landed on their desk. Because that question they were asking, they asked that question 3 times, and it's just like, we spoke about it.
This comes across as a way to pacify the youth. And what I was hoping to get out of this is the issues that are faced specifically by the youth are systemic. And we can't solve for them as an industry. But what is within our sphere of influence and control in order to help mitigate this problem?
So Knox, can I then
out of
answer?
time, that was just a final comment.
The constant bearing questions from the judges, repeating themselves, means there's a level of frustration, meaning they're not getting to a consensus with us. And that was concerning. And I wanted to just try and bear some clarity and shed some light on it. It was a bit too late.
Thanks for your presentation. Good luck.
Thank you.
You may go.
After the presentation, I was worried. Most of us had to rush through our slides. So I was worried that we didn't get our points across. Yeah, I think it was more worry and nerves after that.
One team down and one to go. But risk has many sides. After the break, we see if they can handle the pressure.
Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good.
The pressure is mounting here on the Insurance Apprentice. Our first team has had a chance to impress the judges, and now it's up to Team 2 to raise the bar if they want to avoid elimination.
So walking in, we're a bit anxious because walking in there, we're carrying papers. We don't know how they're going to receive what we're about to do, but we are set in what we have decided, and we're going to do it how we want to do it.
Right, welcome team, the floor is yours.
We're going to make a statement. First 20 seconds presentation starts, we say nothing.
It kind of got the reaction we were hoping to get, because the judges were like looking at each other like, okay, you guys can start. And we were like,
There's power in silence.
They're protesting.
Good day, judges. As risk advisors to the state and broader community, we are Raise Pty Limited. Our presentation is to provide a protest campaign that is centered around education, message, and execution therein. Our presentation focuses on 5 pillars. First being rights, accountability, impact, strategy, and emotional control, what we like to term as the RAISE framework. As a starting point, the right to protest, whilst previously illegal, is now enshrined in Section 17 of the Constitution. So the idea with our presentation and our framework will be to show that to move away from aimless, volatile demonstrations to a controlled demonstration with responsibility.
Ultimately, when we damage items in these violent protests, the people we are hurting are ourselves. We hurt our own communities. Sasria, a specialist insurer in South Africa which covers lines such as riots, strikes, and more importantly, protests, may cover insured, but who covers us as the uninsured? There are examples of peaceful protests. Being silent is one. Marches are another. Being able to picket outside companies without inciting violence is a third. And lastly, social media campaigns can be an alternative.
Most young people don't go to protests to destroy. They go because they are angry, they're frustrated, and they feel ignored. Our behavior change strategy is focused on 4 key elements. Now, firstly, with crowds, when emotions rise, people naturally tend to copy what other people are doing.
So how we then plan to implement this is we then firstly would like to appoint youth leaders in different communities. Secondly, on radio, local radio stations, where we then get DJs to join the movement. We then plan to put posters in buses, bus stations, taxi ranks, where there's a QR code that people can follow and, follow the movement, where our message stands. Peaceful protesting protects your voice and your message. Violence destroys it.
To elaborate further on what my colleagues have just said, we have come up with a 4-stage risk reduction model. Stage 1 involves emotional build-up. Stage number 2 involves crowd escalation. The 3rd stage involves infrastructure damage, which is physical damage, right? They partner up. They partner up.
As my lady is wrapping up the presentation, we hear the sound of protesters, and I'm like, no way.
To be quite honest, that was the first time we actually looked like a team. The protest is going on, my lady is trying to get through her presentation, and Google just goes in full defensive mode.
We do understand you're very frustrated, and I'm here to listen. So this is where you then get a chance to be heard. That's what you want, right?
It was chaos. I froze, but Google saved us. She honestly scared me and the protesters. I don't even think the judges were prepared for how she just walked onto stage.
Gugu, I'm going to ask you just to step back. Thank you for intervening, though.
Firstly, they gave me a skirk. I'm like, Batung, what's going on? I don't think they expected me to step up and be like, Batung Lena, what's going on here? They never saw it coming.
We have a protest, a live action protest, as you can see. So we need you to choose one of your members who will put together an emergency de-escalation of some sort that will appease these individuals.
I think the natural choice would have been Gugu because she's louder and she tends to handle a crowd more. But I feel like in terms of structure and context, it had to be Clement.
Go for it.
Thank you, judges. As a de-escalation process, we will put together and ventilate our framework. What we will do is that we will call the affected parties to a meeting wherein we will establish what is the problem, the subject matter. We took it back to our framework that we suggested in our introduction. We created the idea that in the case of a protest, the only reason they do that is because they don't have a platform. So you provide them a platform, you provide them with a turnaround time as to when we will come back to them after considering their concerns. It de-escalates the issue. It says to them, we're listening, you have a platform, let's try and engage.
Thanks. You still have a little bit of time left, so I don't know if anyone wants to...
I could jump in as well there.
Of course.
I feel with accountability comes consequences as well. Firstly, it would be you could get arrested, you could face a criminal record. It's one of those things where, look, violence is never the answer.
Just to add to that, on a point that Gooks had shared, if you resort to violence, it really distorts and it takes away from the message that you want to hear. But if you protest peacefully, we are able to hear what the problem is and we can start looking at solutions to address the problem.
We just asked you to put forward one person. Did you all feel that Clement did such a poor job that you had to step in and assist him?
No. We said we had more time and we felt there were points that could have been added.
It didn't mean that you should.
Yeah, you all nominated him.
Yeah.
And then you all felt the need to step in and help him.
Honestly, I think she was creating conflict within our team. Nothing that was added contradicted anything that Clement said. So I believe that was the judge being the judge.
I found it interesting that you guys began with an awareness of rights, when most of the times with protests, the reason or the cause is basic services have not been delivered. Those are also rights enshrined in the Constitution. So which rights are superior, and how do you go to disgruntled people and speak about property rights when their basic rights have not been met?
If I can, property rights is not the only one. In these strikes, property damage is one part of it, but people lose lives, people get hurt. Weapons are present in these strikes. It's not purely
but you
someone's
also
asset.
can't deny the ingrained hypocrisy in that statement.
Our display was a demonstration that there's more than one way to just be, to protest and to go about something. It wasn't to say that this is the only approach or to say that it's the best one.
Yeah, and just to pick up what you're saying, to protest respectfully, responsibly. Remember, as I stated, that Section 17 provides that you may gather and protest. However, it's Section 17, it's a Bill of Rights, there's a limitation clause. You can only exercise your rights in as far as it doesn't infringe on other people.
Okay, thank you. You may go.
Thank you.
I genuinely believe that my team did their best. I don't believe that anyone left anything unsaid that we had communicated should be said. I can only hope and pray that it was enough to impress our judges.
Did you see the youngsters coming into our presentation? Hey.
When we ourselves were taking stock of what we've just done, just a normal banter and nothing, no conflict at all.
We did very well, guys. I honestly feel like we did a great job. Looking at the feedback, there was nothing negative they had to say.
The end of presentation, I really am super proud of my team. So eventually, they actually listened to me. And yeah, I guess I saved the day again.
Now, both our teams have presented, but who has managed to impress our judges and who will be going home today? Stay tuned. It's getting real. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a day filled with twists and turns here on The Insurance Apprentice. Both teams have presented and our judges have deliberated.
I thought both groups were good, but I felt that the delivery in one was superb.
I actually don't think anyone's going to expect this elimination.
Oh, they don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Now, it's time to see who has done enough to stay in the competition and who will be going home. All right, teams. Welcome to elimination.
Walking into elimination is never easy. It is always daunting. No matter how well you think you did, it was nerve-wracking.
I felt that I needed to show composure in the room, but the heartstrings were pulling.
All right. My dear judges, have you deliberated? Have you come to some decisions?
We have. Thank you, Tsapelo.
Yeah? All right, I'll hand over to you.
Sasria always give us these amazing tasks in the competition, and today was no different. So relevant, and actually I think you all did a really great job, and this is probably the first time I'm ever saying this at the start of a season, but I was really proud to see what unfolded, but unfortunately someone has to go home today. That's just the nature of the competition.
Simon basically said that it's one of the best performances for starting group of people. It does increase the tension because you hope that it's not your group getting picked.
In catastrophe risk governance, systems thinking and translation of a model into a framework is critically important. One of the teams did that incredibly well, particularly in the respect of how they put together the presentation. It covered all of those elements. I expected them to go to town and really, by far, become the best team. But that did not happen.
They're telling us that it was close between the two teams. Your mind is just racing. You're just trying to backtrack in your mind so that you can sort of put your mind at ease type of thing. So it's hectic. I'm sweating for it.
I think Muzi's comments encapsulated a lot of our feedback, but I'll keep it short. That was top 10 worthy. So thank you for your efforts. However, I do expect the standard to be raised next time. Do not disappoint.
Thank you, Knox. I guess that brings us to the elimination process.
So it really was a very difficult decision. And we did eventually agree that the winning group today the group that doesn't have to say goodbye to anyone today is the Rays team.
That's a winner. I was like, yes.
So I was surprised the way our team started in preparation. We had no business winning.
Winning this is just one step closer to that cash prize. It's quite a humbling experience.
That's that, Rays team. You live to see another day. We'll see you next time.
When Simon said that our team lost, the anxiety was tangible. Being in the hot seat means any one of us could go home.
My heart dropped. The way Muzi emphasized how something should be presented, I knew our presentation was not that great because we didn't have time.
We were actually tied with low scores today, just marginally lower than the rest of the team. I can't highlight that enough. The two low scores for the day in Organisation for Change were Khotatso and Morgan.
Which then means the two of you are up for elimination, Khotatso and Morgan. Do any of you have a risk shield? Because that would give you immunity.
Well, my answer is I wish I did.
You wish you did.
I guess in that moment, I kind of knew it's between me and Morgan. For me, I was like, Morgan, sorry, but like, you're going home. I do have one.
She had it. Girl, little Miss Secret, you know?
Oh, that saves you, Khotatso, in this particular round. Do you feel a bit of relief?
Yeah, I do.
Khotatso, you may step back.
What are the chances of the person that's standing next to me having the immunity shield? It is literally a 1 out of 10 chances. What a twist!
Morgan, you did well today, but I think what actually killed you was your timekeeping. And the margins were so fine. I'm sorry, but you're dismissed.
Thank you. Well done, guys. That's life, you know. I do consider myself a winner for having come this far. I would have loved to be the winner. But unfortunately, you can't win everything, you know. And I've had my fair share of wins. Being on the Insurance Apprentice has been an amazing experience. I was faced with very strong candidates. Every one of those people, brilliant minds. I have no qualms whatsoever to anyone whatsoever that's left in there. I'm rooting for each and every one of them.
Never easy, but it has to be done. We'll see you guys next time. And well done for today. I don't think it was an easy challenge to experience and go through, but a lot of lessons learned. Well done to you, and we'll see you guys soon, I guess.
So my biggest motivator comes from my brother. So we lost him in July. He was shot in our yard trying to protect me. So he was one of my biggest supporters, right? So it means like, I think I've experienced God's grace and even in this competition. And I think things are happening for me because of him.
Today's challenge reminded us of how important it is
to understand our rights and how knowledge can protect lives and our communities.
As young people, we didn't grow up being taught the difference between a crime and a right. But if we understand how to protest safely, with a vision, with a purpose, we can shape a better country. Today, education showed me that it protects lives, protects communities, and protects our future.
Indeed.
Stay tuned for scenes from the next episode of The Insurance Apprentice. You guys are going to be working with 2 young co-creators.
I am here to be a mole amongst the groups.
Our generation hates big words.
I don't know what you're saying.
If he leaves that rule like deer in headlights, we were screwed.
You guys should be shooting now. Time is running out.
Hurry up, let's get this on.
Connor, we need you on camera now.
So I think there's more structure in the second group.
I'm going to lose it.
I'll invite you to be a judge for a moment.
I think I'm leaning towards this group.
I disagree entirely.
Oh my word, it's not going to be easy.
Sasria ensures that when things go bad, Sasria makes good.